In this video, I'll go over the camera menu of the Leica S Type 006. On the back of the Leica S Type 006, you'll see 4 buttons surrounding the rear LCD. These control the menu and its various functions. If I press the upper left button once, it brings me to the info display. You'll see that each button has some text next to it that corresponds to its function. First, I'm going to go into the camera menu by pressing the upper left button once again. Inside the camera menu, there's actually a few ways that I can navigate. I can use the same upper left button as a page up, page down button to cycle through the 2 pages of the camera menu. I can use the rear dial here to scroll around. Or, new to the Leica S Type 006, I can use the joystick on the back to navigate the menus. The first thing you'll see is drive mode. To get into drive mode, I can either press the joystick or the rear dial. Once inside drive mode, I have a couple of options. Single for single shooting, continuous for 1.5 frames per second continuous shooting, or a 2-second or 12-second self-timer. What's really cool is the self-timers both have mirror lockup built in. This is really convenient, especially for shooting landscape. And the self-timer won't reset after each shot. It stays until you either turn the camera off or go back to a different setting. To confirm my selection, I'll press the rear dial. Next, we have focus mode. AFS for single focusing, AFC for continuous focusing, and MF for manual focusing. If you plan on using the rear joystick button to activate the autofocus, also known as back button focus, we recommend using the camera in MF mode. Exposure metering has 3 different options: an evaluative multi-field metering, center weighted, or even spot metering. To go back without making a change, press the upper right button. You'll notice it says back right next to it. Exposure compensation allows me to adjust the camera's exposure compensation in half-stop increments from -3 to +3. To make your selection, simply press the rear dial. Exposure bracketing allows me to have exposure bracketing set. I have 3 or 5 frames in 1, 2, 3, or even half-stop aperture increments. If I set automatic, pressing the shutter button once will automatically fire the full sequence of bracketed exposures. Hit the scroll wheel button or the rear joystick to confirm. Next, I have auto slow sync. This is what you use in program mode when using a flash to determine the slowest shutter speed the camera will use for you. We recommend a manual setting of 1/125. Flash sync mode, often known as curtain sync mode, has 2 options here: start of exposure or end of exposure. This is traditionally called first curtain or second curtain sync. Lastly, we have mirror up mode. Again, the mirror up mode is built into the self-timer, but if you want to activate mirror lockup without using self-timer, this is where you do it. Again, to go back without making a change, hit the upper right button. To see what settings I've changed in the camera menu, I can press the upper right button, which brings up my info display. Doing so shows me a number of icons of what I've changed. Here I have shooting mode, metering mode, flash sync mode, exposure bracketing, and mirror lockup. Underneath that is the light meter. Here on the bottom right, I can see where I dialed in my exposure compensation. Up here, I can see I'm in MF or manual focus mode.